that was kind of a wrap up, but I should have mentioned I appreciate obviously our moderator and the university for opening the doors to us, but also all of the sponsors. Obviously these kinds of events wouldn't go off without your support, and we wouldn't have nearly so much interest as what we do without you folks making it happen. So thank you again. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to visiting with you a little bit afterwards and then seeing you again at subsequent cracker barrels. Thank you.
Thank you for all being here. You know, in closing, I will say that please, if you have any concerns, email me. I read every one of the emails that comes through my legislative email list. I will admit I am slow to reply to all of them, but do know I do read them and take them into consideration moving forward. I also, every night when I get home after session, I go through and I listen to the testimony and any bills that are going to hit the floor the next day. I do want to be informed and understand what the issues are before I take any kind of stand or vote on them. Once again, thank you for coming out. Great questions. Look forward to continuing to serve you. Thank you.
Well, we're really delighted and excited to be here. We thank you for today. We thank you for Gail and the Aberdeen Area Chamber of Commerce, for Nancy, our moderator, for Mike Bockerty and Devin, who ran this before. You know, for Corey over here, you know, filming and doing what he does. Once in a while, Corey could even be controversial. I didn't know if you knew that, but here's the facts. He is holding people accountable for things, and that's good. And President Downs and NSU, we appreciate what you're doing here. Senator Brock Greenfield and Senator Al Nolfstrup, great individuals. I take the privilege of having Al be my mentor. And I tell you what, you can learn a lot from somebody that's been around for a period of time. And Representative Caleb and Representative Drew, we have some really good new people. Drew's the youngest legislator that we have. We're going to probably try to do one more thing, and that is try to make sure that we raise some of the standards for our lower wage people, try to help them out more. And when I started this position, I said I would promise to listen to you, I'd learn from what you have to say, and then I'd react, and hopefully I'm going to be able to do that. We are now that far along, which means we have 3 weeks down, and I don't think we have 30% of the work done, but I think we have 30% of the time in. And the final thing is, I started off with video lottery, and I couldn't quite think of what I was going to say, but do you know that in Aberdeen alone, we have 55 casinos, and we have $4,526,445 that goes into that system, received by the state, I guess would be what I'm saying. So, you know, that's quite a bit of money. So is video lottery a good thing or a bad thing? What does it cost in health and family services? And are we addicted? And are we doing the right things? I just brought that up as a question, and I'm sure that it's going to be a legislative question at some time in the future. I'm not sure exactly how it will be. And that's one of those subjects that nobody will think it's a good idea if you're for it, and nobody will think it's a good idea if you're against it. But I do think it's something we need to start thinking about, all of the things that are critical to our families, and how people are spending their money is critical to their family. Thank you very much for having us. We enjoy this. We want to learn more, and like Caleb said, you can find us all really easy. With Caleb, you just do his first name, .weiss, and then at southdakotalegislature.gov. Now, if you don't want to write to Caleb and you want to write to Drew, you do the same thing, except for you don't use Caleb's name. Thank you very much.
If any of you wonder why Carl is such a wealth of information, it's because he carries it around in his briefcase, and it's this thick, I think. Okay, so going forward, we have 7 weeks left. Can't remember if I mentioned in my opening statement, yesterday we had 19 bills assigned to State Affairs Committee, which I'm on, so we're going to be busy on the State Affairs Committee for, well, probably the rest of session, but at least the next couple, 2 or 3 weeks. for sure. Carl already got to the contact information. There are several ways to contact me. The best way is through email, and he already gave out that email address, drew.dennert@sdlegislature.gov. I've got a couple different email addresses, but that's by far the quickest way to reach me and the quickest way I'll respond to you. I do get through all my emails, and I try to do so in a timely manner. If you're on Facebook, make sure you search for me on that. Type in Drew Dennert 4-State House, and actually what I do every day at the end of session, I go through and I list each bill that we voted on that day, and I'll say House Bill 1001, enact to or encourage the governor to use E30, and I'll say I voted yes, and the final vote was 68-0, or whatever the vote was. So if you just want to follow along with what the House is voting on, just follow me on there, Drew Dennert 4-State House. So you can reach me on my cell phone during session, 252-1008. Feel free to call or text. That number is on the LRC website. So yeah, just feel free to reach out to me. I always like hearing from constituents back home on a bill. So if I'm undecided, a lot of times that can help sway what direction I'm leaning, is just hearing input from constituents. So please don't hesitate to contact me, and we'll have a fun next 7 weeks and 3 more Cracker Barrels. Look forward to seeing you at the next one.
I believe Senator Greenfield is tied for the longest serving legislator in South Dakota. Is that correct? Or you got the currently serving, tied, but not fully, you don't have the title all by yourself, you're sharing it. And that's quite an honor. He's been elected to be our President Pro Temp, which is the most powerful position in the Senate. We appreciate that from this corner of the state. Gives me the ability to ask for things and sometimes get them and sometimes not. But it's a pleasure to serve with him in that position. And I think I'm number 3, so I'm just right behind him, and I'm waiting to move up the ladder a little bit if I can, and maybe move up and see how that plays out. But anyway, it's been fun watching the new guys. This is my 17th year there, and Carl, I, and Drew housed together. And so we spend some time at night together, but a typical day, and the funniest thing to watch is Carl. Carl had no idea what he was getting into. And basically a typical day is you're out of bed by 6 o'clock, down to the Capitol. Maybe you've got the breakfast with Governor's Prayer breakfast, or maybe you've got the FFA at 6:45 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. And typically we get home at 8 o'clock. A typical day is I think we're going to have 400 bills to deal with this year. A typical day is 3 to 10 groups of friends and family come from home every day. In other words, the chiropractors will be there, the Christian school educators, or Northern State University. I mean, the list is 3 to 10 of those groups show up every day in addition to the bills. So, and we try to take a few minutes and spend with each group that shows up. And Carl comes home and he's just saying, man, that's like on day 3. He says, it's like drinking on a fire hose. You know, you just can't do it. It's overwhelming. And that's on day 3. Carl's giving me this baffled look at how are we going to get through this. I says, you hang in there. You'll be okay, buddy. You'll be fine. But it's fun to watch Carl. And one of the things we do is we have caucuses, and we're supposed to kind of keep things a little quiet as to what went on in there. And being a veteran, I'll show up at 8 o'clock and we're at home, and I'll act like I know something. And I'll start telling a story a little bit, and Carl will just add to the story. And I go, that's not supposed to be public, Carl. And as a rookie, he falls for the old act like you know what you're doing, and you can drag a lot of good information on Carl that isn't supposed to necessarily be told. So, and he's just a little sheepish when I drag that information on with him. But it's a great relationship between all of us. Caleb is doing a wonderful job, and Drew's, obviously been around a while. And,
I'm into transparent.
You're into transparent. Wonderful, Carl. Anyway, we're accessible. My cell phone is on the website. Always leave my cell phone out there. Last night I got home about 7 o'clock. I drove home from Pierce, stopped in Miller on my way home to have a Dairy Queen blizzard with a friend of mine and got home and Kathy says, how are you? I says, fine. I think I'm about 150 emails behind. And then a few hours later, she says, well, you know, probably time to go to bed. And I said, yeah, I think, you know, well, 203 emails behind. And so they pile up about 10 per hour. So I've been here for 2 hours. I'm probably pushing 300 emails behind this morning. And so I need to lock myself in a room and hammer away at those emails because they're coming in fast and furious. But thank you for all you do. I'm really proud of what we have in South Dakota. I think we have good government in South Dakota. And what causes us to have good government is citizen legislators. This is not our full-time job. This is our part-time passion. Thank you for coming.